Data viewers, the Colonel speaking to you live from the lay rectory with the Squire, and he found a jolly interesting record yesterday.
Well, I was poking around in a pile of discs on my travels at Lechlade, and I found this one, which is one of those Durium type records.
Yes. Post
office telephones, automatic telephone tones.
Right.
Now, I've never seen this before.
Neither have I.
And I thought, well, it's well worth getting hold of.
I should say we'll put a 7800 because it is a flexible disc.
Well, that's right. It won't play otherwise.
In association with an automatic telephone, 4 different distinct tones are used. It is important that these tones should be recognized and distinguished from each other. When the receiver is lifted, before beginning to dial the number, listen for the dialing tone, which is an all-clear signal and indicates that dialing can start. This dialing tone consists of a series of rapid, short clicks, giving a continuous tone, like this. That was the dialing tone, the first of these 4 tones in automatic telephone working. When the number has been dialed, and if the line is disengaged, you will hear, after a short interval, generally of a few seconds, the second tone, which is the ringing tone. This shows that you are now connected to the number you have dialed, and that the telephone bell at the distant end is being rung. This ringing tone is a low-pitched note, a double brrrr, like this. That was the ringing tone, and you should allow that tone to continue for a reasonable time before abandoning the call, because the called subscriber may not be near the telephone when the call is made. But if the required number is already engaged, you will hear when you have finished dialing not the ringing tone, but the number engaged tone or signal, which is quite different from the ringing tone. The number engaged tone is a series of high-pitched notes, like this. That was the number engaged tone, and when it is received, you should replace the receiver and dial again in about 2 minutes. It is most important that these 2 tones, the low double brrrr of the ringing tone and the regularly repeated high note of the number engaged tone, should not be confused. Then there is the 4th tone, which is not very often heard, but needs to be recognized. It is the number unobtainable tone, and it sounds like this. That was the number unobtainable tone. Now here are the 4 tones again. Note carefully the difference between the 2nd and the 3rd, which are respectively the ringing tone and the number engaged tone. First, the dialing tone. Second, the ringing tone. Third, number engaged tone. number unobtainable tone.
Brilliant. Are there any details on that record, Nigel?
Well, actually, no.
I wonder why it was produced. Obviously for instructing people to use telephones, but post office telephones, automatic telephone tones, Durium Records. Oh, that's all it is. There is no details of who was speaking or anything.
It may have been in a it may have been in a specially printed bag or something with the details on.
Yes, of course.
I know somebody used to work on the telephones. I'll ask her if she remembers it. But I would guess this is probably early 1930s, probably. But then it's that kind of automatic system that was introduced quite early.
Do you think it was used in exchanges, or
it could be, or it could have been a public information thing? It might have been played. Could easily been played in the cinema or something like that.
Could with a little film,
but
couldn't it? Yes.
That's purely conjecture.
Yes.
I don't know.
No, I don't know.
But I will ask. I know somebody I'm going to ask about this. And in 60 odd years of collecting records, I've never seen.
It shows that you can find, people who call themselves experts, and no such thing, because you can, however long you've been collecting, you can find something you've never seen before.
Well, I've just say I've never seen that one. The usual music Durium records aren't all that common in good condition, but that was just turned up in a pile of other things.
Amazing.
And I was amazed, really. Yes, indeed.
Absolutely astonishing.
But I will try and find some more information. But you see, when you think of it, when I lived at Hayley, which came under the Whitney Exchange. That exchange did not go automatic until about 1962.
Goodness me.
63. So I can remember the days when you picked the receiver up and the lady at the other end said number please, and you said the number and then it was you're through and pushed the plug in and you were collected. And that was what the telephone was like in those days. And when I was at school, we went to the telephone exchange and we saw them all working. And as I think the manager who was showing us around says, does anybody have a telephone? I said, well, we do. And so I was allowed to make a phone call and have a quick word with Mum.
Extraordinary.
The Whitney telephone exchange was just being asked to, allowed to ring home.
Well, one of my grandparents, they had a telephone, but it was across the yard. They didn't want something vulgar like a telephone in the house. A tradesman might call. And I'm absolutely serious, viewers. So if anyone was passing the shed or outbuilding when it rang, it got answered. And if they weren't, it didn't. And my late grandmother always used to pick up the telephone and say, "Are you there?" well into the 1970s. Which, of course, is what you did when you had a sort of someone sitting at the other end there at the Whitney Exchange. Well, not Whitney, because obviously we were Berkhamsted. Yeah,
but I can remember using the telephone myself like that.
Right.
The Kempster's the music shop. I think it was Whitney 240 or something. I used to telephone as a youngster then, Whitney 240, and has my record come in or something like that. Or there was Henry Long and the Son, who were the agricultural engineers, and we used to telephone them. And then I don't possess this instrument now, but I did have the 10th telephone to be installed in Whitney, the actual instrument. That's in the Whitney Museum at the moment, but that was Marriott's the coal suppliers.
Right.
And they were Whitney 10. So I did actually physically have the instrument, but when the Whitney Museum opened, I donated it to the museum, so it's down there now.
That's great news. Well, hopefully someone can help us, someone watching this video can help us with this record and give us more information about it. But it was jolly interesting. Thank you for showing us.
No problem.
Thank you, viewers, and goodbye.
Bye-bye.